Welcome to Building Bridges, the program committed in supporting the women and men of the New York City Police Department. Joining me once again as a host, my partner, Police Officer Michael Guglielmo, 121 Precinct. We have with us today a special guest, a young lady by the name of Ana Delfaus. Did I say it correctly?
Almost.
Almost. I'm bad with names. She and her husband started a Facebook page called Thank You NYPD. And she is a big supporter of the women and men of this department. Thank God there's people like you around, I'm telling you. It's a shame what our police officers are going through, not only in the NYPD, but throughout the country. And could you please tell us how you came up with the idea with your husband and what you've been doing with Thank You NYPD?
Sure. First of all, guys, thanks for having me here. It's my privilege.
Welcome.
And thank you both for your service.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
So approximately 8 years ago, I decided that the NYPD needed some sort of positive outlet for what good they do behind the scenes that people aren't really aware of, that the officers themselves might think of as everyday work, but us citizens don't really get to see because we're shielded and we're protected from that. We're almost kept in the dark, basically probably for our own protection as well, to not know exactly what's happening. So I started a Facebook page and I named it Thank You NYPD, and that was August 2014. And I have posted every day since and made sure that there is always some sort of positive information being put out to the public for them to easily access to see what it is that you guys do, and even a way for the general public to thank you if they can't do so on an everyday basis. And it's not just the people from New York City that are on the page. There happens to be people from over 70 different countries on the page, and yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we get messages in various different languages saying thank you to the NYPD. People recalling times that they've visited the city and they remember specifically the officer they took a picture with that made them feel safe, or, you know, in other instances where the officer was involved in helping them in a more serious way, and they're just appreciative. And it's been an easy way for people to possibly even reconnect with some officers that they have dealt with in the past.
Oh, that's great.
So there are other things you do besides the Facebook page with your husband. Can you let the viewers know what you do?
So what we decided last year was to raise some money because I wanted to get more personal than just a Facebook page. I wanted to be able to access the officers one-on-one, and me being Italian, the easiest way for me to show love is to feed people. So I decided, let's raise some money.
Yeah.
And and I know the officers would be receptive to obviously food being brought in. And it was a way to ensure that the food we were bringing is safe and not contaminated, and the officers could have an easy meal and not worry about anything. So we raised about $30,000 and made it a mission to try to reach as many precincts, TDAs, and PSAs as possible. The TDs are transit districts, so these are the officers that are not specifically working out of a precinct. They are dealing with the subways, and the PSAs are the housing police. So, and a lot of times they get overlooked. From what I've been told, because they're not specifically in a precinct. Everybody
like
refers.
Precinct number. It's just
Yes.
it's like where do you live? I live in the 123 or the 70 or
Exactly.
something like that. So they don't really think of it as like a housing thing or as a transit area too. I can see that happening. That's great that you do that.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. So we started visiting the precincts and the TDs and the PSAs, and about 15 visits in, we happened to go to a Back the Blue rally in Bay Ridge, and we were live on the Facebook page so people can, see what was going on. And one thing that stuck out to me was the professionalism of the officers, how they just handled everything so professionally and with dignity. And it really stood out to me how they were able to do such a tough job with the protesters there and maintain their cool. You know, as a human, it's difficult, but you know, when you put on the uniform and you put on that badge and you're representing New York City, not just the NYPD, it's a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the officers. So it was really impressive to see how they were handling what was unfolding at the protest. So a little while into the protest, I happened to notice Mrs. Timoshenko, who she lost her son in the line of duty, her only child. And there was a protester exchanging words with her, and it was becoming heated. And my husband said to me, hold the phone, as I was videotaping. And having the phone in someone's face is not exactly my comfort zone. I feel like it's intrusive and it's so rude, but I knew that something was about to happen, and it was something that needed to be caught on film. So my husband approached a protester and told him that this woman lost her only child in the line of duty. And the protester went from being belligerent to actually softening up and feeling emotional towards Mrs. Timoshenko. And it changed the whole tone. And I said to myself, if only the whole world could witness this interaction, maybe it could change the dialogue between the communities and the police officers. And it was a very moving moment. So
it shows that there's humanity on every side of everything.
Absolutely. So. Behind the uniform is a human being. You're not robots. So it was a very touching moment. So we obviously was on Facebook. The video happened to reach someone by the name of Chief Joe Fox. A lot of you may know him. He's a retired 3-star chief. And he sent me a message on Facebook saying, my name is Joe Fox. I am friends with Mrs. Timoshenko. Can I please have a copy of this video? She wants to see it. So me being skeptical, I actually stalked him on Facebook to make sure that he panned out to be someone legitimate. And turns out he's obviously a very well-respected and loved chief, a retired chief within the NYPD. So I said, okay.
He sometimes goes around to the commands and gives officers a little bit of a pep talk.
Yeah,
he's actively involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I first got on the job, we had orientation in Brooklyn South, and he was there and he gave us a speech and everything. And then after everything was done, he sat and he spoke to all of us, and we're all rookies, brand new, and he's telling us stories and stuff like that. It was almost like story time type of thing. But even my parents worked under him, and they always said he was a gentleman. So it's nice to, that he's reached out and did that his heart's still in it.
If there's anybody whose heart was in the job, it's Chief Fox. It was, and it still is. And as a result of that video, and my husband speaking to him on the phone, telling him, hey, listen, we're doing these visits to all the commands. Why don't you come along? And Chief Fox was like, definitely, I'm in. And from that visit on, he has been to every single visit with us, and we've done, I think we're up to about 43 or 44 total visits. And with Chief Fox, because he's such an amazing person, he has maintained a really strong connection with a lot of the line of duty families, and they have been invited to all the visits after that. And it's incredible because it started off as my husband and I and my 3 children going to these commands and just dropping off food and saying, hey, thanks, to being almost a ceremony. It's incredible how the commands now greet us, and it turns into a big deal. And we've had people like Monsignor Romano come along, and Mrs. Timoshenko and Mr. Timoshenko come along, Mr. and Mrs. Lee come along. They lost their son, Kevin Lee, to a heart attack, line of duty on a foot chase. Maria Jagowski, who lost her husband on Staten Island years ago, she has been a tremendous supporter, has come to every single visit. Marcella Leahy, whose husband died in 9/11, she has come to the visits. Carmen Suarez, whose husband died in 9/11, comes to the visits. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting anybody else, but we've made so many connections. Oh, the Massimillo family comes, the Alcamo family comes. The line of duty families have been an incredible part of these visits, because I'm not doing it for myself. I'm not visiting these commands for myself. I'm visiting these commands for the officers, and most importantly for the line of duty families, because their loved ones may have made the ultimate sacrifice, but at the end of the day, they really made the ultimate sacrifice because they're living with it, and their ability to pick up and continue and still want to come out to the commands and talk to the officers one-on-one is so inspiring. It's such a positive morale boost, not only for the officers, but I think for myself and the citizens of the city to see that these people can pick up and move on. And it's really great that, and the NYPD shows them tremendous support. They're really they are the Gold Star families, and they're treated as such.
I think what you're doing is great, and thank you for that and everything. And I'm sure for all the families that are involved, for everyone who has passed away from the line of duty, this is something that probably helps them too, helps them connect to everyone, and I don't want to say mourn, but like in a way of, or grieve, but it's like a way for them to be involved. And that's a beautiful way that you had it done, that you're doing it.
I think it's more of their family member continues to live on.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
It's a way of honoring them.
Yes.
I think that's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Michael, I think we should reach out to Chief Fox. I think he'd like to come on the program.
I think he would more than love to come on the program.
Better way to contact him than I do.
Yeah.
I used to have his number. I don't know if I still have it, but I'm sure you have it.
I will absolutely reach out to him. I think he'd be totally honored to be on the show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. When you go to the commands and you bring food and you have discussions with the officers, what's their reaction? What do they say to you?
It's so funny because I never know if I'm really making an impact with these visits because I'm just doing it because I feel like it's the right thing to do. In life, we're all called to do something good. And I feel like this was sort of, at this point in my life, this is my calling to make sure that I'm supporting my city, because I always say this on every visit, without the NYPD, there is no NYC. So for me, it's just been something that I never know if I make the impact, but then the officers come up to me after we do all our speeches, because we each get a chance to talk. Chief Fox speaks, I speak, the line of duty families speak. And when they come up to me afterwards and they hug me or they tell me thank you for what you're doing, it's almost, I ask my husband after every visit when we get in the car, I'm like, do they really mean it? Do they really care about what we're doing? And they do. And it's been amazing because I've had some officers actually reach out to me on Facebook. And one officer in particular was injured on the job. He had temporary lost sight in one of his eyes, and he couldn't, be out there. And one of his coworkers, his fellow officers, messaged me and said he was feeling really depressed. He was very down and out, and was questioning if was he in the right place at the right time? Is this the right job for him? Did he make the right choice in life? And this particular officer ended up messaging me on Facebook saying, your visit changed something in me and made me feel so much better and appreciative of what I do. And it was so inspiring and unexpected because, I'll never know the weight that you guys carry on this job. We're lucky as citizens that we're shielded from that. You guys take the burden on for us. And when the officer reached out, that particular officer, it was something really amazing. And then I had one other instance where a son of an officer, they had moved out of state. His father committed suicide on the job. His son reached out to me and said, I have not been able to deal with my father's passing until I saw this page. And that to me has been the most significant part of all of this, because as a child, I cannot imagine the questions that you have. And the fact that your father took on the burdens of this city to keep us safe and to keep us protected, and you have to live with this. Him reaching out and messaging me was something incredible, something I would never in my life expect, and it was really moving. So I feel like at the end of the day, maybe I am helping a few people out, and that's what it's about.
I would say you are. Like the littlest thing that we, even if I have someone wave to me, that means something to me. Like that makes my day. As bad or as good as the day is, it brings it up. It's always nice with that type of stuff. So the littlest things does make a difference with us. I can speak on that half.
Well, I'm happy. I had one officer once. We went to go visit the command after this incident happened. She was pulling a U-turn and I was honking. And I have in my car posters that say "Thank you NYPD." So if I see an officer driving by, I stick the poster out the window. So she said she was having a horrible day that day, and she remembers someone honking, and she said, I thought I was going to get cursed at. She thought that someone, that she was going to get yelled at, cursed at, or whatever. She goes, and all of a sudden I see this poster come out of the car that says, "Thank you, NYPD." She goes, you made my day. She didn't know it was me. We had found that out at the delivery. But she said, that something like that just made my day. She goes, it's so incredible. And it's a human element. It's a simple psychology that the more positivity you bring across, the better life is in general. And it's just...
And the more you extend as well.
Exactly.
So.
You said something just a short while ago. You said, without the NYPD, there's no NYC, and that's absolutely correct. It upsets me when I look on television and I see these protesters carrying signs. Not only do the signs say defund the NYPD, but they say abolish the NYPD. What will happen to this city if we don't have police on the streets protecting our lives and property? Mass chaos.
I don't want to find out.
I don't want to find out either. Here in Staten Island, the NCO program is a big success.
I think so.
Yeah. I know that you and Brian, God forbid they take you out of Port Richmond, they'll go ballistic over there. There was a situation where Sean, the crime prevention officer?
Yeah, Officer
Mondello. He was in Mariners Harbor, and there was talk that they were going to take him out of the area, and the community was up in arms.
That's amazing.
That's
got to be a nice feeling.
A nice feeling, yeah.
But I think that's something that, again, as much as we are shielded from the bad, for some reason we're being shielded from the good. And people don't realize the incredible relationships that the officers have built with a lot of these people in the community. That's not an easy task, because you're coming in as the enforcer. And instead, once the community gets to know you, they realize you're there for their safety, not for your own safety, not for your own selfish motives, but literally you put yourselves out there for them. And it's, when I see a lot of the community affairs officers, with the public, there's really an incredible dynamic. And some officers I even speak to tell me that after they deal with some of these criminals, the criminals come back and call them and tell them, thank you for helping me out that day. If you didn't arrest me, God knows where I would be at this point in my life. And it's just, those are the stories that I feel like need to get out that don't. And if they did, and if the public was so aware of the relationships that the NYPD has forged with the community, I think it would set a different tone.
Michael, did you have some things that you wanted to bring to the attention of the viewers with scams and?
Yeah, actually I do.
It's very important.
So I've been noticing a couple of, we got a couple of patterns going on, some crime patterns going on in the area. One of them citywide, and it's starting to affect our area, specifically my sector in general. We have a thing where we have larcenies going on, where the victims are normally elderly, and they're sitting in front of their homes. So they're sitting on a stoop, on a porch, on a seat. They're on their residence, they're on their property, and these group of perpetrators are walking up to them saying, hey, here, try this jewelry on, see how it is, see if you like it, type of thing. And as they're entering the victim's space, personal space, and putting on the necklace or the bracelet or something like that, and they're doing a sleight of hand trick where they're removing the actual jewelry that the victim is wearing, the real jewelry, and taking it off them without them realizing it. Wow. And then they're leaving the situation, and then they leave the location. So this has been a big thing going on. So one of the things I want to bring up is we all have our personal space. Don't let anyone near your personal space. If you see someone approaching you, and you're on your property, even better, hey, stay over there, what do you want? Can I help you? Things like that. Pay attention to the people around you. Just tell them, like, listen, don't get so close to me. If they do end up getting close to you and everything, don't be afraid to hold on to your property. If you got a necklace on, just grab it, hold on to it to make sure, Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of victims with this has been in an elderly area type of thing, so it's easy I guess they're targets,
Yes.
Another thing that I noticed with scams is that people have been applying for jobs, and we're actually seeing more of a younger crowd with this. And what they're doing is They're putting out for jobs. They're applying for jobs. They're doing this probably from like a website type of thing where they'll pay a website to put their applications out, and they'll put it to a bunch of different places. And what they're getting is that a job company is reaching back to them saying like, hey, you're hired. Here's a check for $1,500. Use this money to get yourself a new outfit, a laptop, things you're going to need for this job. And then almost immediately right after, they can say, wait a minute, the check was a mistake. We need that money back. Give us the money back immediately. And they'll reach money into their own account, wire them over the money, and then they'll try to cash the check that was given to them to reimburse themselves, and the check bounces. So biggest thing with that is, honestly, if you get a check and you're not still, if you get a check from a situation like this, don't cash it. Or, if someone's if you get a job and someone says you're hired, and then they're demanding the money back, just send them the check back. Or just say, I destroyed the check. It'll be voided. If it is a legitimate company, they'll have accountants. They're going to be tracking that check to make sure it was cashed or not, if it's a legitimate company. And if the check isn't used, they're going to know that. So that's the biggest thing with that. Don't use your own money and then wait, because they're getting away with that. And that's been an ongoing thing. And same thing as last time I was in here with you was more scams involving the elderly. People calling up saying to the IRS, that someone's arrested in your family and they need bail money. We don't do that. That's not a thing that's done. And unfortunately, people are giving away their life savings for this type of stuff. A lot of times they'll also say like, hey, you owe us this much. Give us $500 in a Amazon or a Target gift card or something like that. There's no ever legitimate currency that would, there's no way of ever legitimately paying for something like that with a gift card, So that should be a telltale sign. But just to go over everything again, law enforcement will never ask for bail. IRS will not call you for owed taxes. Utility companies will threaten to call to interrupt your service. Immigration, saying that you're going to be deported or a family member is going to be deported. Social Security also saying that something's fraudulent with their account or their card and stuff like that. Ransom, that's been a big thing. And hospitals saying that, family member is in here, they need money for the surgery, we're not going to perform the surgery unless we get paid. That's not how the world works. So just hang up. Best thing to do is just hang up. It's a scam.
Okay. There's a lot of scams out there. I'm even getting them on my cell phone. I get a text message. If you want to put a sign on your car, we'll pay you $500 a week.
Listen, I got calls from the IRS. Apparently, got 2 warrants out for my arrest. This is one of those things, just, it's nonsense. But some of them are getting away with it. And another thing I'd say to do is, like, if you do have a family, like, since the victims are mostly elderly for this, as a family, keep track of them. Maybe work out something with the bank they go to where you take control of their account or something, just to control their monies. So, like, if there is a situation where they're going to withdraw $1,000, the bank will stop them, or they'll notify you or something like that. Just a better idea with them, just in case, because their intentions may be in the right place and they fall victim to it. So that's another thing. But the best thing is just hang up or ignore it.
Okay. We did a big cleanup over at Veterans Park. Now, that was done for a reason.
Yes. So the NYPD is starting a pilot program called Community Solutions. And the idea with that is we are focusing on an area where we want to try to beautify it and make it better for the community in general. So we picked Veterans Park. We did multiple cleanups since. I recently did something where we painted the benches and the poles, so it looks brand new.
I know. I stopped by
as new as it could. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be covered in paint. So we're hosting a couple of new events coming up. So we have on July 31st between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. we'll be hosting a Port Richmond Food Festival. And we're also going to be having a pop-up with a cop event in there as well. So we're going to have local restaurants in the area, food trucks, all around the perimeter of the park. We encourage people to come, hang out, get some food. Inside the park, we're going to have the pop-up with the cop event, and what that's going to be is basically all of us there, going over crime prevention tips and introducing ourselves if the members of the community don't know us yet. Just another way for us to get out there. Mm-hmm. We also plan on having other fun activities for the kids. I'm trying to work on getting a rock wall there and stuff and climb. I'm not climbing, I'm just saying. And that's one of the events that we got going on with that. And then on August 6th, between 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m., we're going to be having PT in the park, or physical training in the park. And that we're going to be doing with our YCOs. And what our YCOs are is youth coordination officers. So we're looking to have kids between the ages of 12 and 17. And we're just going to do like little exercise things, like things that we used to do in the academy.
Okay,
And
great.
again, you'll probably find my partner there doing push-ups with the kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
You'll find me in the back eating a donut or a pizza, watching. But it'll be a fun thing. We'll do a couple of laps. We'll have people involved. I'm looking to see what else we can do to have that going on to make it entertaining and fun for the kids, and build a bridge with the kids to be like, hey, listen, we're not. This is, we're here to help. We want to do fun things with you guys and stuff. And we have another event coming on mid to late August. I don't have an official date on that yet, but we're going to be doing like a book giveaway type of thing. So Wesley Park has books that's been donated to them, and we're going to be using them and setting up tables and stuff, and have books out there for people to come by and just take. It's, free. It's just, you see something you like, take it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get a couple of, we have a lot of kid books there, and that would help right before the school season and stuff. Maybe it's something they can read or use or help out or anything.
Okay,
So
great.
we're going to be having that set up, and when we get a date on that, I'm going to have it posted out and announced.
It's probably organized by the Wesley Improvement Society, so I'm a member of it, so I could let you know as well.
Yes, and also I should also let everyone know too that the Port Richmond Strong Association is the one that's helping me greatly with the food event on the 31st. So,
Okay.
I've been working very closely with them. They're doing a lot of work helping out as well, and it's another way with us to work with the community and make
Okay.
something nice. And that's one of the nice events that we plan on having inside this park.
I want to mention something before the program comes to a close. The crime prevention officer of the 121 precinct was on one of our shows, and he had a lot of good tips. And apparently not everybody is listening to what Sean Mondello said. Mm-hmm. Most recently, we had carjacking in the vicinity of Staten Island University Hospital North. And most recently, we also had a car theft. It was at 1933 Victory Boulevard. It's a parking lot of a local pharmacy chain. And it was reported in the Advance that about 10:30 in the evening, a gentleman pulled up with his car and he didn't take the key out, left the motor running, went into the store to get a few things, and while he was in the store shopping, a 15-year-old came by, saw the car running, jumped in the car and went for a little joyride. 15 years old. This is about 10:30 at night. I'd like to know what he was doing out that late. And it involved a police pursuit, but they caught up with the youngster, and he was placed under arrest. So when we bring on the crime prevention officer, please listen to what that officer has to say. They have good suggestions on crime prevention, and it's very, very important. Especially today, the car thefts are going through the roof.
Well, that's the thing. Like, a lot of this could be prevented just by doing your own due diligence. Take the keys out of your car. That's half the battle right there. Lock your car. That's 90% of the battle right there. Very, if the car break-ins that we do have in, very rarely they are physically broken into. It's open.
Yeah, this about wraps up the program. We've discussed some very interesting topics. So until the next time, I want to tell everybody to stay safe. If you feel uncomfortable walking around without your mask, put it on. It's always a good idea to play safe. So until we meet again, you take care.
Anna, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yes, thank you for coming on the program.
No, it's my honor. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you. And take care and God bless till we see you again. Bye-bye.